Before we begin, let me just ask you to ask yourself a question. Did millions of our ancestors die in the Second World War just for us, their offspring, to go and hand it over? Everything, the free will, they all died for the free world, protecting and saving the free world. Our ancestors did. Did they die and go through all that suffering and pain in the Second World War for us, their offspring, just to hand it over to the first group of terrorists disguised as a religion that tried to take it from us? Is that why they died? Did millions of our ancestors build everything that we've got now, that we are living the fruits of now, that we've built too, for us just to go and hand it over to the first group of terrorists disguised as a religion that come along and try and convince us that they're taking over? Convince us, that's what they're trying to do. Is that why they've suffered? Is that why we've suffered? For us just to go and give up? We have bent, well, some of you, I came close to breaking my back, but a lot of you out there have bent that much for these people. You've broke your backs, and now they walk all over you, and you justify it to yourself. But that's the reality. I will not break my back bending for any terrorist. Ever. I will not break my back bending for any group of people that try and force me to through control. Ever. I will break my back getting rid of these terrorists, and that's the only reason I'll break my back, because I will not bend for nobody, especially not terrorists disguised as a religion. I will bend for the genuine, but I will not bend for the pretend to be meek. I will not bend for those who are of the wolf in sheep's clothing. They went fully naked on 9/11. But so many of you are ostriches out there, choosing to be ostriches. It's time to get your head out of the sand. Get your head out of the ground, out of the mud, and see the reality. And now we begin. David Cameron, right, and some of these other European leaders, right, they go over to, all these other countries, these Muslim countries, Libya and everywhere, okay? And they dive in there and they help them fight wars for them and everything, like, trying to create democracy in Afghanistan and all these other Muslim countries, okay? When it's not going to happen. There's no way it's going to happen. Because David Cameron and everybody, right, all these so-called leaders, European leaders and everything, they're trying to create democracy in these Muslim countries, but they can't even they haven't even got democracy in our own country, in their own country. You've got Muslim towns out here in our country now where it's Sharia law. It ain't English law no more. It ain't British law. It ain't democracy. You've got Muslim towns now in our own country where it is Sharia law. Islamic law in our own country. And then our soldiers are over in these other countries fighting and dying. What? For what? For what? There's hordes of Muslims on our towns and cities trying to convert people every day. Every day. Disrespecting the country, this country, and the civilization that it is. Every day. And in any Muslim-dominated community, white people and non-Muslims are being driven out if they don't convert. I know. I was driven out of a white street where I had a Muslim neighbour who was abusing me every night. And then my best boxing brother, I seen as a boxing brother, my brother, a guy called Jared Khalik, a world boxing champion, who was given a CBE by the Queen, right? Then tried to convert me, to get me to convert into Islam. When the peak of the abuse and the terrorism from my next door neighbour of 4.5 years reached its peak, my so-called, a person I see as a brother for 20 years, who had helped out many occasions, who only became a world boxing champion because of me, teaching him how to counterpunch, tried to convert me at the peak of that terror. So he lied for me for 20 years, and then he was racist towards me, calling me white trash when I wouldn't convert. And this is happening in our own country, whilst our best soldiers are over in all these other countries, Muslim countries, dying. For what? For what? David Cameron, if you're listening to this, you better pull your finger out of your eyeball, because you ain't seen nothing what's happening in this country, our country. You ain't seen nothing what's happening around the world. There's no democracy in these countries, in Libya and Afghanistan. It's not going to happen. Leave them there, bring our soldiers back, and take all these ones turning this country into an Islamic one. Take them all back now. Get them all back to where they came from. And do it now. Because it's in our country that we've got a problem. Forget about all these other people and what's happening there. People are born where they're born for past life karmic reasons. Leave them be. Leave them be. And that's that. Leave them be. And get rid of these ones who are here under false pretenses. Get them out. Get them out. If you want democracy to survive in this country, then you better do it now. Oh, and by the way, the flyby by the massive asteroid about a month ago, that was a warning from Mother Universe. Yeah? If we do not sort out the Islamic problem, yeah? Well, this whole planet's getting taken out. Because let me tell you something. Woman is naturally closer to God. That's why she bears life inside of her. And any race that enslaves and dominates and abuses the purer, closer to God's sex will be wiped from the face of this planet. And any race that supports them doing it will be wiped from the face of this planet. This planet will be wiped from the face of this solar system. And that's a fact. In this country, we allow, right, these Muslims to dominate females and enslave them, and they walk around with these slits, these dark clothing, ugly clothing with slits like that. That's what we allow them to do in a so-called free country. We are that free that we let people enslave people, do we? In our own country. Because do not tell me for 1 second that them women are walking around like in boiling hot weather, in all kinds of weather, with that slit there, not being able to breathe properly, covered from head to toe with a little slit. You telling me, you not tell me that they are doing that of their own free will. They are being terrorised behind closed doors, and you know it. We all know it. So it's time to do something about it. Because if you don't, Mother Universe will. And then you'll regret not doing something about it. Because you'll be joining all them lot in hell. And that's a fact. Because you was too scared, too controlled by the demon known as fear to speak the truth. David Cameron and Obama and all you other so-called leaders. Cowards are not leaders. Cowards are the slaves to fear. And that's what you are. That's what you are. And that is all you are until you stand up and say it like it is. And speak the truth. PC ain't AC/DC. It's got no polarity. Stick your PC up your arse. Because all those sandcastles that you're building and that you're living in these big houses, you ain't in these communities where you're being driven at. Well, they all get washed away when the tide owner's death comes in for you, Cameron. And then you'll pay for everything you did do and everything that you didn't do. You will pay. All of you are going to pay.
If you live in the West and are concerned with Islam and the Islamization of your country, this video has a message for you. What Islam is Not was published in the frontpagemagazine.com on April 21st, 2008, and is an adaptation from a book written by Dr. Peter Hammond, Slavery, Terrorism, and Islam. What Islam is Not. Islam is not a religion, nor is it a cult. In its fullest form, it is a complete, total, 100% system of life. Islam has religious, legal, political, economic, social, and military components. The religious component is a beard for all of the other components. Islamization begins when there are sufficient Muslims in a country to agitate for their religious rights. When politically correct, tolerant, and culturally diverse societies agree to Muslim demands for their religious rights, some of the other components tend to creep in as well. Here's how it works. As long as the Muslim population remains around or under 2% in any given country, they will be, for the most part, regarded as a peace-loving minority and not as a threat to other citizens. This is the case in United States, Australia, Canada, China, Italy, and Norway. At 2 to 5%, they begin to convert from other ethnic minorities and disaffected groups, often with major recruiting from the jails and among street gangs. This is happening in Denmark, Germany, United Kingdom, Spain, and Thailand. From 5% on, they exercise an excessive influence in proportion to their percentage of the population. For example, they will push for the introduction of halal food, which is clean food by Islamic standards, thereby securing food preparation jobs for Muslims. They will increase pressure on supermarket chains to feature halal on their shelves, along with threats for failure to comply. This is occurring in France, Philippines, Sweden, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Trinidad and Tobago. At this point, they will work to get the ruling government to allow them to rule themselves within their ghettos under Sharia, the Islamic law. The ultimate goal of the Islamists is to establish Sharia law over the entire world. When Muslims approach 10% of the population, they tend to increase lawlessness as a means of complaint about their conditions. In Paris, we are already seeing car burnings. Any non-Muslim action offends Islam and results in uprisings and threats, such as in Amsterdam and in other Western cities, with opposition to Muhammad cartoons and films exposing Islam. Such tensions are seen daily particularly in Muslim sections in Guyana, India, Israel, Kenya, and Russia. After reaching 20%, nations can expect hair-trigger riding, jihad militia formations, sporadic killings, and the burnings of Christian churches and Jewish synagogues, such as in Ethiopia. At 40%, nations experience widespread massacres, chronic terror attacks, and ongoing militia warfare, such as in Bosnia, Chad, and Lebanon. From 60%, nations experience unfettered persecution of non-believers of all other religions, including non-conforming Muslims, sporadic ethnic cleansing, use of Sharia law as a weapon, and jizya, the tax placed on infidels, such as in Albania, Malaysia, Qatar, and Sudan. After 80%, expect daily intimidation and violent jihad, some state-run ethnic cleansing, and even some genocide as these nations drive out the infidels and move toward 100% Muslim, such as has been experienced and in some ways is ongoing in Bangladesh, Egypt, Gaza, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Morocco, Pakistan, Palestine, Syria, Tajikistan, Turkey, and United Arab Emirates. 100% will usher in peace of Dar es Salaam, the Islamic House of Peace. Here, there's supposed to be peace because everybody is a Muslim. The madrasas are the only schools, and the Quran is the only word, such as in Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, and Yemen. Unfortunately, peace is never achieved, as in these 100% states. The most radical Muslims intimidate and spew hatred and satisfy their bloodlust by killing less radical Muslims for a variety of reasons. A quote from the book The Hajj by Leon Uris. Before I was 9, I had learned the basic canon of Arab life. It was me against my brother. Me and my brother against our father. My family against my cousins and the clan. The clan against the tribe. The tribe against the world. And all of us against the infidel. It is important to understand that in some countries with well under 100% Muslim populations, such as France, the minority Muslim populations live in ghettos, within which they are 100% Muslim, and within which they live by Sharia law. The national police do not even enter these ghettos. There are no national courts, nor schools, nor non-Muslim religious facilities. In such situations, Muslims do not integrate into the community at large. The children attend madrasas. They learn only the Quran. To even associate with an infidel is a crime punishable by death. Therefore, in some areas of certain nations, Muslim imams and extremists exercise more power than the national average would indicate. Today's 1.5 billion Muslims make up 22% of the world's population, but their birth rates dwarf the birth rates of Christians, Hindus, Buddhists, and Jews, and all other believers. Muslims will exceed 50% of the world's population by the end of this century.